Hey everybody, Chris here. So today I wanted to discuss one of my favorite chord progressions for building tension or for building suspense in any given situation. And this is a pretty common chord progression that I use in a lot of my music actually. And so I'm going to give you two examples. One is from Determination, which is the newest track I wrote a couple weeks ago. And then I'll show you another one from more of a theater style track. It's a song with lyrics. So I'll just play it from the beginning, and then it actually appears really close after the intro. So let me just quickly show it to you. So that was the progression right there. So let me just see here. Okay, so let me just tell you the progression really quickly. I start with a major key, typically. It could be a minor key as well, but in this case, I'm in D major. So right now I'm on the tonic. I have my 1 on the bottom. And then what I do next is I'm a really big fan of going up stepwise in terms of chord progression. So after the 1, because this is the 1 chord, D major, then I'd go up to the 2, which is minor, which is E minor. So have a listen. So you feel like you started the journey, you're going up a step, right? And I went up another step. So in this case, I went from E on the bottom to F sharp. And the resultant chord is 1/6. So it's basically D major, first inversion. So now F sharp's on the bottom. Okay? And in a way, it feels like a mini resolution because 2 is kind of a weak chord, but when you go to the 1, which is a strong chord, it already feels like you've resolved a little bit. But because it's the first inversion and now the F sharp is on the bottom instead of the D, it still feels like there's more places to go, which in this case we do. So now I've stepped from F sharp to G, which is the 4 chord in D major, which happens to be G major. And then finally we're at A major, and then I threw in a G in there just to make it a dominant 7th. So, and then A naturally goes back to D because dominant usually goes back to tonic. So let me play it again, and then we'll see in the context of it how it sounds. So 2, stepping somewhere else, even higher. So that's a progression I use a lot. Let me show you another example. Okay. So this is a song I wrote for Roger Federer, the tennis player. Don't mind me. Let me just see if I can find the progression. Oh, and let me mention really quickly, this is a progression I typically use in pre-choruses. So if I'm writing a song, because a chorus in any song is the main part of the song, the pre-chorus is the one that sets it up. And so you can use that opportunity to build the tension. And in this case, this is a progression I use a lot of the time. Okay, I'll play from here.
Was the birth of a legend we all know.
So here comes pre-chorus. 2,
As he played more, he came
1/6, 4, and then 5. And then I go back down to the 2,
fearless game no one before had
1/6. Now this one's a little different.
they could do
5,
was
back to 5. So let's talk about this different chord right here. So before, I was playing... So right there, this is an E flat chord, which is the subdominant or the 4 chord in B flat major. But this chord here, this is the one chord that actually differs in the repetition of the progression. So instead of an E flat chord, I'm actually stepped up a half step to E on the bottom. And this chord is actually C7. So C, E, G, B flat. And what I've done is I've made it first inversion. So I've put C on the top and now E's on the bottom. So it kind of gives it a different color compared to an E flat chord. So let me just play that one more time.
As he played more, he came on the scene, began attracting someone.
So there was the E flat chord there. Then the same progression.
This fearless game no one before had ever seen.
This chord right here. So it sounds a little different, a little brighter. Okay. And the reason it sounds pretty good actually is because C7 naturally wants to resolve to F, because in F major, C is the dominant, right? And then, so there's C7 and resolves to F, which then resolves to B flat, because F then becomes the dominant 7th of B flat major. So we call that C7 chord a secondary dominant.
The one before that they could do was believe.
And this is what a lot of composers will actually do when they're trying to throw in random sharps or flats in the song while keeping it really natural. Because a secondary dominant will introduce a different note that's not in the original key scale. So for example, in B flat major, we have E flat. So we have B flat and E flat, 2 flats in the scale. But then when we throw in a C7 in there, we actually take the E flat and move it up to an E natural. So then our ear, which is already adjusted to E flat, then unexpectedly hears an E natural. But at the same time, it doesn't sound out of place because it then resolves to F major, which becomes the dominant of B flat major. So it's a whole theoretical thing, but honestly, I just do what I feel sounds good. And in this case, or in both of these songs that I just showed, I feel I can do the best by using this progression, and I use it in a lot of my music. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. Just this really classic progression that I tend to use when I'm trying to go from the tonic, which is the 1 chord, up to the dominant, but in a very progressive way that helps you build suspense while you're doing it. And then you can get out of it however you want. You'll naturally want to go back to the 1, but if you want to deceive the audience, you can go then to a 6 chord, or you can do whatever you want. So just wanted to share that a little bit with you. And if you have any questions about it, please let me know in the comments below. And I'd love to hear what other suggestions you have for video ideas. I'm always looking for those. And I appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.